I should be writing number 437. Is that right? Yeah, that's right.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi there, welcome to I Should Be Writing, the podcast for wannabe fiction writers. I'm your host, Mur Lafferty. I'm currently doing that thing of trying to get all my ducks in a row before a trip, after a trip. So much trips. I'm going to the Ozark Book Convention. Is that what it's called, specifically? Yes, the Ozark Book Con on November 8th. So if you're in the area, come check it out. It'll be me, Mallory O'Meara, Tobias Backel, Sean Grigsby. It's going to be fun. And I got somebody on Patreon asking me a question of if I'm going daily, then how will people get their promised Patreon reward of early episodes? And I'm working on that. I haven't decided whether I want to record one day and post the next for Patreon, or if I just want to do extra content. I'm honestly not sure which would be harder for me, but I do want to come up with special premiere content or rewards for Patreon supporters. So that was the one problem with going daily, is that I don't have any wiggle room to post early for Patreon supporters. If anybody has any ideas, I'm open. By the way, if you want to support the Patreon, it's patreon.com/mightymur. It is October 15th. We are almost halfway through the month. Actually, about halfway through the day of October 15th, which means we are halfway through the month, which means NaNoWriMo is around the corner. If you are still doing the Pacemaker Challenge, by now your word quota is 782. It's getting up there. It's getting a little challenging. I've been traveled to New England this past weekend. Didn't get a lot of writing done. I seem to always travel in November, either for family or for other reasons. This year I'm in North Carolina for Thanksgiving, but I'm still going to the aforementioned BookCon. And I just don't know. I just let myself get derailed with NaNoWriMo all the time. And again, I know I can write a book. That's not the thing. I just like to, have that. I want to achieve that mark of pride and, camaraderie with everybody else doing it. That's the exciting part. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about something Anne asked. If you use foreshadowing in your opening hook, do you need to write a second hook to keep the reader engaged? I'm not sure if foreshadowing is what you're referring to here, because you can do that in the same thing. I mean, you can use foreshadowing in any scene. Kids are playing in the woods and they jump over a ditch and one of them stumbles. And then later on, they're running through the woods and they gotta leap over that ditch again. And it causes an injury, or they outsmart the villain by making them fall into the ditch or something. That's foreshadowing. Could you mean flashback? I'm not sure, but I'm going to talk about it as if you are meaning flashback. And if you do mean foreshadowing, I don't think you need a second hook, because I think you can write your opening hook and include flashback with it. But flashback in an opening hook is a little tough, because you get people invested in the scene. And then you ask them to realize that that's not the story you want to tell. Instead, the story you want to tell is this thing over here. Now, George R.R. Martin does this in all the Song of Ice and Fire books, where every prologue is essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I read the books, but every prologue is someone dying in a way that is that implies a greater threat later on in the story. So I guess that's somewhere around foreshadowing, but it's also completely new characters. Now, he breaks the whole don't use a prologue rule and don't start your book with people who aren't the main characters and all that, but he's George Martin and he does a pretty good job of it. So, if you do open the book with something that is not specifically the story you're telling, then yeah, you gotta write another hook. I mean, Game of Thrones, you open up to Sir Waymar Royce, I believe his name is, going out and being all full of himself and fancy and getting nearly everybody killed by the White Walkers beyond the wall. And then that tells us that the White Walkers are active, killing lots of people, and leads us to the poor guy who's just running wild from going AWOL after that attack. We don't see those people again, mostly because I think they're all dead. But he does this over and over again. But then after that scene, we have to go to Winterfell and meet all the Starks and all of their drama. And so if it actually, I came to the books late, not like in the past couple of years, but I guess a couple of months before Dance with Dragons came out, I started reading them. And it honestly took me a couple of tries to get Game of Thrones, to get interested in a Game of Thrones, because it starts out with this exciting woods experience, and then everyone's dead, and then I have to meet a whole new group of people. So if you're starting out, maybe not starting the book with two different sets of characters. But then again, if you think it's something that you can juggle, then why not? See, this is the problem. I don't believe there are any rules in writing that are hard and fast. I mean, I would have told you that the portal fantasies about role-playing games are trite. And then I started reading Die by Kieran Gillian, the comic book. And it's a portal fantasy about an RPG, and it's amazing. So it's really how well you pull it off. That said, I would say it's a little more challenging to pull off rather than writing just one hook. So maybe just stick to one and maybe add the foreshadowing or flashback. Now I'm doing it. I'm not sure what I'm talking about. Maybe start with one hook and then add the flashback later. And if you are talking about foreshadowing, again, just put it in there. Why? Why not? Why write two hooks? That doesn't make a ton of sense, which is why I wonder if you mean flashback. If you do mean foreshadowing, then write me back, tell me I'm wrong, and give me more detail on why you would have to write, or why you think you would have to write two hooks if you're putting foreshadowing in your opening hook. But sorry this is a little short. I'm kind of been playing catch up all day and then running up against the clock now. But hope to get more content out tomorrow and get some writing done tonight, for goodness sake. But if you want to email me ideas for a show or questions, that's mightymur@gmail.com. The blog is at murverse.com. And on Twitter, I'm twitter.com/mightymur. Support the Patreon at patreon.com/mightymur. And I will see you tomorrow. And until then, you should be writing. Remember, you can support the show at patreon.com/mightymur. I should be writing theme music provided by John Anelio. You can find more about him at johnanelio.com. This podcast is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike license.
On TV